Hi everyone, nice to be able to share with you today. Just want to, oh that was the kids slamming the door. That's what happens when you're working at home. And actually that's what I want to reflect on today. Not working from home, but the fact that, we're entered into February and within the next 5 or 6 weeks we've been doing this for a year. And that of course is living with the restrictions and the lockdowns and the wearing masks and the social distancing and all that kind of stuff that we've kind of got used to over this past 12 months or so. Obviously none of us want to be in this place, none of us want to be stuck in the position that we're in, but this is our reality. And as I shared on Sunday, I'm asking people to share their experience of the past year, and there are a couple of things, a couple of reasons why I think this is really important that we do. First of all, I think it can be really healing to be able to look back and see and share what has been going on in our lives, and for us each to take some time to think about the reality that we have been in. For some, that will mean a lot of staring at walls, a lot of isolation, a lot of feeling alone, a lot of feeling weary and just kind of fed up. For others, that will mean homeschooling. That might mean trying to work from home when your internet is not as good as you hoped it would be when everyone else is on it in your street, and all that kind of stuff. So a really varied experience. But I do hope and pray that as you write down and reflect what's been going on in your life in this past year, that you allow yourself for those pains and those hurts and those sorrows, those losses to come to the surface, and for you to express them in a way that will be helpful for you in that moment. The second thing is that I would really love to share that with the wider church family. And again, I think it's really important that, particularly as we've not been able to gather together in the same way, you and me and us as a fellowship have not had those moments to connect and for our lives to interconnect with one another. We've not been able to have that chat over coffee about the highs and lows of every week. We've not been able to talk about those things and share tears with one another and to rejoice with one another. It certainly has been something that I've really missed, hearing that hubbub on a Sunday morning. Talking to an iPad and singing to an iPad is not kind of my idea of fun, but we're really glad that we have the opportunity and the technology to do that when it works. Most of the time it does. But what about my year? Because I'm asking you to do this, so I'm going to reflect on what my year has felt like and been like. There have been some real struggles. Homeschooling, and I'm not just talking about understanding kind of how maths is done compared to when I was at school, which was 30 years ago, or longer for some, shorter than others. But just getting my head around that, trying to settle the kids into that first time round. Then of course second time round, kind of, the school had prepared more, and trying to work out what we're doing and set them off, and again in this environment working from home all the time, trying to balance that out. And of course with all the restrictions as they changed, as the governance changed, and all that kind of stuff that happened, over the summer, it felt like we're doing risk assessment after risk assessment, and then things change and new research comes out and all that stuff. You know what it's been like. We've all been there, but it just felt really incessant all the way pretty much up till Christmas. It just no let up. And of course then we move into this lockdown in January, and everything feels just so much more wearier, I think, for me. I certainly feel that in my spirit, that weariness, and which is kind of odd because we're not as busy. But as I said, that incessant nature of my ministry has just made me feel that weariness a bit more acutely, because that is set against all of the joys that have come with this year, because it isn't all doom and gloom. I think it's really important, I think I shared this before Christmas, that we really focus and see where God has been at work, and that has been true in my life. I've had the joy of me and Elizabeth getting engaged and starting to plan the wedding, of course living in the hope and expectation that we can have a certain size, type, style of wedding that we would love. And in this moment that weariness kicks in because we just don't know what's going to happen over the coming weeks, the months leading up till June. So there's a weariness of uncertainty. There's just a weariness of not doing stuff. And I don't know how you find this, but I think most of you know I'm an active person. I don't sit still for very long. So the thought of being at a computer desk a lot of my day, every day, actually I've found really hard work. I don't know about you, but that weariness of kind of just not having all that stuff that we love to enjoy, that makes us tick, of doing that stuff that gives us that energy. Even stuff like taking the kids to their activities and chatting to people outside of my sphere. I love doing that. I love finding out about different people. I love going to new places and getting out for walks and all that kind of stuff that I'm, you know how it is. But of course each of our stories this year will be unique. And I really want to say two things just as I conclude. The first is this: it's really important that you share your experience and your story. It is right that we may feel, and I've heard this and sometimes I feel like this, that our situation is not as bad as other people's. That may be true on some level. But what is also true is that you cannot keep that quiet. You cannot just kind of accept that someone's in a worse position and then not deal with that inner turmoil yourself. And I would encourage you to write it down. As I said, let it be healing for you. I'd encourage you to share that with the church so that others may see where you are. Do not worry about how it's going to be judged compared to other people. It's important that you speak those words out or write them down at least. The second thing is this: look for where the joys have been and look for where the joy and the hope is still yet to come. For I know that during this lockdown it's given me opportunity to do things that I wouldn't have done. It's allowed me to spend more time with my children than I ever have done and likely ever will do. It has allowed me to learn more chords on the guitar than I thought I would need to this time last year. And joking aside, it's allowed me as a person just to reconsider and think about the priorities I have in my life and how I lead and what that looks like for the future. There have been many joys, there have been many challenges, but I encourage you to share your story, share your experience of this year so that you may receive healing from God where you are in this moment, but also may you bring hope and reassurance and healing to one another. May God bless you each one this week.